Good. Hey, True Believers, Englentine here. Our second episode of Tales from the Longbox, and this time we are doing, I gotta say, one hell of an awesome book. Yes, possibly. I'm thinking what Watchmen wanted to be, Wild Dog is. That's basically it. I mean, Dark Knight, Wild. No, I'm sorry. Let's go Dark Knight, Wild Dog. To just this is an amazing feat in writing, art. It just, you know what, lifestyle. I'm just gonna say it straight up. Wild Dog is not just a book you read; it's a book you have to mimic in order to live a proper kind of lifestyle. I can see by your face there, Dalton, that you do agree.
How many more lies?
No, okay. Let's. I mean, I've got it on the thumbnail, man. This book is the comic book version of So Good, So Bad It's Good. I'm gonna say it right here. Both of you have read this. Did you read all 4 issues?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I think Dom and I read the special as well.
I didn't read that one. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So, well, we're going to get to the overalls and such afterwards. I say, let's look through these. These are possibly the easiest books you can ever read, to tell you the truth. They are, it's, you know what? We gotta just start it. It's one of those, like, people who love this book. I did a Fragminion, by the way. I do commissions over on Ko-Fi. Fragminion asked me to do a review, and I did. There's a review of this book on this channel, and it is not exactly the most favorable thing in the world. And so Fragminion, a viewer here, says, okay, you put in another $5. Now do a positive review of Wild Dog. It's one of the reasons why I said, hey, let's do this story, because I'm being paid. Not you guys, me. So, but I thought, I found it. I found the hook. Like, how can I do a review of a book that I wasn't horrible to, but I did pan. And the truth is, the more I thought about it, and when I was reading it, the more I thought, that's exactly it. Do you know what we're reading here?
The Kmart brand Punisher?
There's a movie starring Chuck Norris called Invasion USA. And basically what it is it's terrorists invade a city and he goes after them. No characterization. And he just magically appears wherever the terrorists are. This happens every issue of this book, which I say, you know, let's go through it. Let's check this out if y'all don't mind.
At first, I thought when I was reading it that I got incomplete copies because there was so little in the way of, like, justification for things that it was like, wait, is this version missing pieces, or is this book just really weirdly put together here?
Yeah, hey, Dark Admiral, how you doing? As we're about to show you, this reads like a Cliff Note book. It does. It's like it is just like, okay, you know, all that slow thing where we learn who everybody is. Let's get rid of that.
Again, the like Kmart or Walmart brand version of the Punisher, folks.
Alrighty. Well, as I say, Chuck Norris. Let's go through this first issue, because you're going to see something, and I'm not going to bring it up until the next issue, though. All right. So, yeah, I know, right? I want to see if you guys notice the pattern. First of all, I love the covers. I do think the covers are pretty good. The art is serviceable. So we have Max Collin, Terry Beatley as writer and penciler, Dick Giordano is inker. Then, of course, John and Workman is letterer. By the way, I never really appreciated letterer until I became 50. And my eyes said, oh, it's time to go to sleep always now? Yeah. So it starts off very, very 1980s with, these are the cities, 24 communities in 2 states, divided and joined by one river. 500,000 people seeking the American dream in the nation's heartland. Who is Wild Dog? And we get a news thing. You can almost hear the music. Dun, 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 dun. And this lady's talking about, hello, Quad Cities. And then it gives the little opening. And she starts off and she's talking about this whole River City Center that's supposed to bring all the cities together and be a place where people can go shop, enjoy, and so a mall. It's an opening of a mall. And after she gets done, she's like, holy crap, I'm a real reporter. Why am I doing all this soft shit? And they try to butter her up. This guy comes in and talks to her. He looks like a mild-mannered guy. And he says, well, I'm part of a group that's looking to restructure America socially. And he blows up the building beside the mall. And then he kidnaps the reporter, and they go inside the community center. All right? And he says, this is the biggest story of your less than illustrious career. That is an exclusive. This is an exclusive interview. She goes, with a homegrown tourist. If a terrorist, sorry, I had a YouTube channel called Homegrown Tourist.
To say, did you do that on purpose?
I didn't. But yeah, I had a Disney channel called Homegrown Tourist that I don't go to. So he says, okay, whatever. If you want to label me terrorist. And they go back on air, and he says,
I mean, you did just blow up a building while being like 500 feet away from that building. So I'm not certain if you want to call me that thing is really warranted here, sir.
Yeah.
After you've blown up buildings while being only a few hundred feet away from them, I'm pretty sure at that point, no, the terrorist thing is all but confirmed here.
Exactly. So we complain sometimes because some scripts, oh, and by the way, Dom, you're welcome to the conversation too. We complain about scripts here, on modern day being done by ChatGPT, but this is the name of the terrorist group, the Committee for Social Change.
Why does that sound familiar?
I know, right? But it's like, I mean, come on, at least like, the Arabs know how to do it, right? ISIS, Hamas, they know how to call things. Unless Hamas is Arabic for Committee for Social Change. I don't know.
Here's the thing. Rich white bitch terrorists, they still want to believe they're the good guys, so they come up with all the euphemistic bullshit.
Right.
It's the same principle that leads a bunch of violent anarcho-communist thugs to call themselves anti-fascist.
Yeah. So it shows they're on the TV, and then we see the main four characters watching this. One of them is Police Lieutenant Andy Flint, off duty today in his apartment in Bettendorf, and he literally goes, "Ye gods!" Which, by the way, the only other time I've ever heard somebody say "Ye gods" was a teenage girl in the movie The Music Man. But here we've got tough police captain or lieutenant Andy Flint. Ye gods! So
I would say something, but then again, I have used the phrase "ye gods" a few times, so I can't. I don't have legs, either physical or figurative, to stand on here.
But you're gay. That's the same thing as being a 16-year-old girl. You guys have the same. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. We have another is reporter Lou Goddard. He's the black guy at the Moline News. And then Garage and Rock Island mechanic Jack Wheeler is listening on a police band radio. And while in Davenport in a hotel close enough to the scene to have been rocked by the explosion is one Graham Galt. So all of these guys, we're going to find out, knew each other in high school. Just hopped on. Who is doing the pencils? It was a dude named Jim. I'm just kidding. I forgot. Here is Terry Beatley is the penciler, Anthony. And hello and welcome. And thank you guys for watching. This is only our second episode of this. Every Monday at 9 o'clock, we're going to be talking about a new story. Next week is Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment, not Torrents. They're not downloading anything. Okay, so
although now I want there to be a parody comic where there's some kind of like downloading mechanism within the Akashic record or something. That would be funny. But in any case, moving back to this week's fiasco.
So we're on the outside of the rec center here, and we've got. Have you guys ever seen Batman 66?
Yes.
Okay, the TV show. Okay, and you have Commissioner Gordon, and you have Lieutenant O'Hara, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time any crime is committed, it's like, oh, we can't handle this one. We've got to call the Batman. It doesn't matter what happened. Oh my gosh, Catwoman has robbed an ice cream parlor. We better call Batman. Our cops can't handle a woman in leather. And these two are exactly
or maybe they
that.
can handle her a little bit too well, and that's the problem. But Tish,
these two right here is exactly that. Okay, off duty or not, I want Andy Flint here now. He's got the best hostage negotiation skills of anyone on the force. And I don't think this dude ever moves. I think he keeps his arms down completely. Chief, I've got my SWAT team in place. And it's not that routine, Captain. We've got a crowd control problem to get in hand, not to mention the fire department operating. Basically, their dialogue is, we are useless. What can we do? Throughout, including SWAT. Call for this shit.
Points for the comic to at least remember that SWAT teams are a thing that exists. Most of the time, they don't even remember that in superhero comics.
He's not even saying, okay, I need you on this, but we need a shooter on this building. We need a shooter over here to get the side, make sure that we've got people covering the back. No, none of that. It's just can't do anything. We're no good here. All right, so while they're talking, we see somebody suiting up as Wild Dog. Now, myself, if I were doing this, at this point, I would have a Wild Dog suit up panel on like maybe every line or every each page. But we have him. He says, "I'm going to send somebody after Andy Flint. In the meantime, Detective Calloway, coordinate crowd control. Captain Lang, just keep it in your pocket. Understood?" Meaning, SWAT, the people who are trained to deal with this stuff, stand down. And he says, bureaucrats are accountable for more deaths each year than traffic fatalities. And the guy says, I wish I could do something, but what can one man do? As we see Wild Dog holding his gun. And then they cut to inside the building. And the guy's just going off on how the world's going nuts and only his group can save it. And we see Wild Dog driving up in a truck, breaking through those cop barriers and right into the building. And ladies and gentlemen, we get a little bit of Republican justice, motherfuckers. I love this shit. You know what? It would be better instead of Rover if it said Ram.
From Great Value brand Punisher, apparently.
Exactly. But this is what I'm talking about. This is Invasion USA. By the way, there was actually a scene where Chuck Norris burst into the freaking mall in his pickup truck to kill terrorists.
It reminds me of US-1, if anybody remembers US-1, the sci-fi trucker hero dude.
And that's basically he rams into the rec center and he just starts popping off, and he's going nutso on him too. And then we get the cops. Who is that lunatic? Another terrorist? I don't think so, Chief. But whoever he is, he's mowing them down like a one-man SWAT team. And the actual SWAT leader is like, well, he's not mine. It reminds what is that in Die Hard? The guy is where he's saying, we think he's a cop. He ain't mine, So Wild Dog goes off, and as he's going upstairs and breaking into the terrorist little TV show here. And I'm sorry, but that's exactly what's going on. The guy's like, no, we're going to stay on camera because we're going to show how reckless those police are and the government hates you and all that kind of stuff as Wild Dog's mowing down the bad guys.
Antifa sympathy all over again.
Little bit. And basically he breaks in, knocks a guy in the nuts. I think that happens another time in this series. Turn the camera on that balcony. I want the world to see these police state tactics. By the way, that's the way to read it because it's got a line after tack. So it's tactics. All righty. So he harpoons and he slides down shooting. Man, this was made to be a 1980s action film.
Yeah.
I'm kidding you not here.
Well,
tell me. I mean, this is just let's kill the bad guys and go home.
I mean, it's basically just John McClane in a Jason Voorhees mask. What could be more 80s than that?
John McClane talk more.
Right. But also like in this like first issue of Wild Dog, it's been instances where it show Wild Dog actually either taking down like these guys like for good, or he wounds them, because even like in the beginning, like he knocked them out and didn't pull a bullet between their heads, or even to the chest. So there's someone still alive, others. Someone's still alive. Others, well, they're laying dead.
I would give them credit for the fact that they are showing the bullet wounds in the chests and such. For an 80s book. Okay, so Wild Dog lands on the stage. The terrorist says, "Get back, or she was yesterday's news." And he's just like, front kick, judo kick, boom. Or as Dalton would say, boot to the head. Which is right in the next panel.
You didn't actually let me do the
I'm
thing.
sorry. You know what? You say the line.
Boot to the head.
There you go. But you do know that there's a song called "Boot to the Head," right?
Yes, that is very much where I got it from. Thank you for once more explaining a joke that wasn't even yours to explain. God damn it!
Boot to the head, yeah. Boot to the head, yeah. Oh, by the way, a lot of fun. So the terrorists are knocked out, and Wild Dog knows that he has to get out of the building. He grabs the newspaper reporter, and she's asking him, "Thank you, even if you did scare me half to death. Are you the police, or is this next Dalton, if you want to take it, because I can't talk. I don't know why I lost. But anyway, he says, I thought, do you want to take it?
No, go ahead. I can't see the print.
Are you the police, or is, I was talking to the other Dalton. Are you the police, or is this the next publicity?
Do you see, folks? Do you see what we put up with on this channel? God damn it.
Knocked out. Yeah, go with that. Well, yeah, I guess the crack sounds like, he broke his neck with his foot. I cannot talk. I might be having a stroke because I cannot say the word publicity when I'm reading. Are you the police, or is this a publicity stunt for the next Friday the 13th? So he bursts out with a reporter. The SWAT guy says, "Drop the weapon or be dropped," and he points the gun at the newspaper. Let's forget about the fact that everybody has a shot at him right now. Yeah. And then he's going to have to put her into the car and go around to the other side.
This is a quintessential dummy plot here. Yeah. Everyone and its dog have to behave like absolute morons, or this comic doesn't exist. And
then, of course, he drives off, and the cop's like, "What? Shoot him down like the wild dog in the street." And they, of course, get away. He
roll credits.
And yeah, there you go. Episode 1 done.
All right. Issue 1.
Yeah. Issue 1. Yes, of course I meant that. All righty. Dom, you read the book. You read the first issue. What was your initial thoughts before we went into all of this?
My initial thought was, when's the last time I read this series? And so when I open it back up, and it puts a smile on my face to see that even though it's a mini series, and it's unfortunate Wild Dog doesn't have an ongoing.
Yeah.
This has aged really well. Well, because it showcased how to do a mini series right, because it tells a complete story while also establishing a mystery of who Wild Dog is, because it established the potential candidates. It's from Detective Andy to Jack Wheeler. Yeah.
They don't really introduce them. We'll get to that in a little bit. Frag Minion, thank you for showing up. I mentioned how you had commissioned this, and sorry it took so long. You commissioned this once before, and I kind of raked it across the coals. And then you said, now do a positive review. And I was figuring, I don't know how to do a positive review of a book that I railed on. And the more I read it, the more I realized I'm reading Invasion USA. I'm reading basically any 1980s action film that went straight to video. This is a B movie. This is a so bad it's good kind of book. And I started enjoying it. And I started enjoying how, in all honesty, simple this book is.
I want to call like the Wild Dog miniseries, including the special, like so bad it's good. It's just a good miniseries.
You think straight up it's a good miniseries. Well, that's cool.
And I guess I'm on the other end of it because, I mean, obviously this kind of book was always going to bore me because it's very, very, very far from my wheelhouse or what I look for in comics. But I was sitting there basically internally MST3K'ing it every time something nonsensical would happen. So yeah, I guess I'm on the negative side of this.
But I
will agree with you that it's better than 90% of what is produced in modern comics. But that's because the threshold for modern comics has been so buried into the various fathoms of the earth that Prospero's staff is right next to it. So yeah, I enjoy this on the I'm going to riff the shit out of this MST3K style level, but that's about as much good as I have to say about the thing.
All right, but we've got 3 more issues to go. So let me pop up issue number 2 here. And once again, I got to say, I'm digging on the covers, man. Right? We do a cover ranking on Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And yeah, these are fun covers, man. Serious. And I particularly like the one I used for the thumbnail. I think that's issue number 3, and the first cover are my favorites. Okay, so I want you to notice basically. Oh, Anthony, it was called Invasion USA. Okay, chapter 2, blowed up real good. I mean, how can this not be made to be a so bad it's good comic when you have chapter 2 and it's called blowed up real good? They know what they're doing. You cannot convince me that they are not doing this.
Like I say, it's better than a modern comic in that it knows who its audience is and it does not mind pandering directly to them. That being said, this has only aged well in the sense that everything else has gotten worse around it. So,
no, I think I think because of that, it just we can look at the 80s stuff and even the stuff that may have not been the most popular. It's still a lot of fun. You know, if the
ones that are so bad it's good.
Yeah. All righty, so we get a little recap of what happened in the last issue. Max Collins still writing, Terry Beatty still drawing, Dick Giordano still inking, which is Anthony saying that, well, that's why it looks really fine, because he's clean on the inks. All righty, so Susan King, Eyewitness Morning News, with special follow-up report on yesterday's startling events, talking about how the city was shocked. Chief Davis, we understand the Adler was very nearly destroyed itself. Yes, after that Wild Dog character took off, the bomb squad discovered an explosive device backstage that could have leveled the city block. I'm extremely proud and pleased that the police department responded so quickly. The reporter says, but Chief, you know,
even though they did absolutely fuck all
they did was say, we can't do anything.
Like, credit where it's due. Maybe this is set in 2020 during the defund the police riots. Who knows?
All the
Maybe
credit.
That's what this is.
Yep. Blow it up real good is from STTV, right? John Candy. Was it? I don't know. Let's see. Hey, Cartoons Comics saying good night, everyone. Hey, my favorite parody of DC who became an actual good character. Not as good. It was The Greatest Hitman, but still pretty good.
Still pretty good.
Yes. All righty. So she says you got to give some credit to Wild Dog. He's like, credit, Miss King. I begorra. I can't do the Irish accent, or I would. But Miss King, this interloper, this bloodthirsty vigilante, is a public menace. It's Spider-Man. Yeah, so they're talking. Chief Davis says that murder and kidnapping number among someone dozen warrants being issued against the so-called Wild Dog, which, by the way, she was the one that he kidnapped, so she could say, yeah, I'm not pressing charges.
Yeah. I am the kidnappee, and I do not hold it against him, so sod off.
Yeah, there
would
was
be the
no
correct
crime.
way to go about this.
Let's see. She gets complained about that she says her name's too much. Don't begrudge Susan her 15 minutes of fame, or do you envy her for being kidnapped by terrorists? Well, yeah, that would be the terrorists. And she's called into management. Says, you're doing a fine job of this wild dog business, particularly considering the stress of what you've been through. And I want you to run with this. Keep pushing the wild dog tag for identification. Get the man on the street reaction. And she goes, well, I'm going to find out who he is. And then we skip to the characters that we saw so very briefly in the first issue. And we see the black guy, and he's talking to his daughter. Say again?
His name is Lou.
Okay. Lou Goddard is his name. I forget those things. Thank you. But he's talking to his daughter about school. And let's see. Then we slip to, and in a motel room in Davenport, we see the bad guys, which I thought was a weird kind of transition. I thought they were going to go to the four of them, but we see the bad guys. They killed a professor. So he's, let's see. Then let's see. What do you want me to interview me for? Wasn't there? Okay. So this is the other cop. What was his name?
Andy.
Goodness gracious. He's got a name. We just talked about it in the first issue. Says you weren't there officially, Lieutenant Flint. Lieutenant Flint. What the hell is that supposed to mean? It means
we have lost E. He will be back, one assumes.
Yeah, Lieutenant Andy Flint. And over time, like in this miniseries, including the special, like he does join, like, excuse me, almost got tongue-tied. He does become an ally to Wild Dog. Now, before like, we learn the reveal of his identity. And I will say, it was issue 1. Yeah, it was a missed opportunity of Mike Collins, Giordano, and Beatty to include a panel of Wild Dog suiting up, while still obscuring his face. Because that way to enhance the mystery.
Yes, Jackson, we are in fact two different people, even though E apparently fails to tell us apart.
I do not believe him. I do not believe him. I paid him to lie out his ass and blow some on this. Looks like he just broke his internet. Yeah. Okay, no, Fragminion, I had a hard time. I really did, because I was like, okay, what is the hook? How can I find positivity in
great value Punisher, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Temu Punisher here. Okay, so she's ranking Lieutenant Flint for not being there. He says, if you're suggesting that my new off-duty hobby...
Share the screen, Share the screen. If you're going to be reading the thing, you have not shared the screen yet since you came back.
Well, thank you. And the lieutenant's saying, if you think my hobby is putting on a hockey mask and shooting holes in bad guys, then you're full of... And he says, Lieutenant, we'll only have to bleep you. Well, bleep you, lady. I was off duty. When I tried to drive to the scene anyway, I had a flat tire. And then we get the next guy, and they're talking about it all. And this dude is from the government. And he kind of wants to hire the Wild Dog, we find out. All right. Next up, he goes to the dude in the garage. His name's Jack. As a matter of fact, they send it. Maybe it was you that dressed up like Rambo Agent Galt. Your people would love it if one of your covert activities got blamed on a civilian. I think somewhere in here he said you should go see Jack, and he's talking to him.
Kudos to the comic writer for actually putting in a timely reference in there, because Rambo would have been fairly contemporary when this was written.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah. Now, Mike Collins, I knew like how to write characters, as well as establishing a background for each of them. Because as mentioned before, for like Graham Wheeler, and the others, like they knew each other from high school.
Yeah, and this is where we get it. He says, yeah, things are going okay. I see Andy now and again. I just saw him. He didn't seem too thrilled to see me. He saved both our bacons more than once, Jack Wheeler says. He was all conference tackle for 4 years in a row, shrugs Galt. And then he says, what's your impression of Wild Dog character? And the guy says, I don't do impressions. He says he's kicking some butt. That needs kicking, I guess. You ever need any work on your car? I'll discount you, old buddy. He says, thanks, Jack, but my wheels are strictly government issue. And we see that Susan's following him around to see all of the suspects this guy thinks he has. And it says, we'll pick up some man on the street stuff, yada, yada. But I think this morning we may have zeroed in on 3 likely wild dogs. We cut to the high school and we see the professor we know now is a bad guy being led in by the principal into a gym. And the principal introduces him. He says, as I look out upon your bright and shining faces, it grieves me not to report that I am not Dr. Mensa. That in fact, Dr. Mensa, I like the fact that they called a Professor Mensa, was murdered not long ago.
Funny, yes.
And he says, I am the bomb. I'm sorry. He says, I am the bomb. No.
You mean literally a
that
human
joke bombed, E.
So I'm the asshole here, huh? Okay. Yes, he is.
You didn't hear what I said.
bomb.
I said that joke bombed.
Yes.
But I'm Tish.
He says, for I am, as you can quite literally see, a human bomb, and before the day is out, I will go off, taking this entire building with me. But if you will,
I hope your power set comes with regeneration, because otherwise this is going to get very Allahu Akbar-y very quickly for you, I'm afraid.
So he tells them all to calm down. The janitor sees that something's going on, and they decide to call the cops. And we get first lesson: technology, a wonderful thing used for profit and gain. It can let's see. He says by a decadent, decaying society. He calls his people. I'm inside. We see that the guys, the doctor, the black guys.
Lou.
Thank you.
This is the daughter, Stephanie.
Yeah, she's there, and we see all of the other terrorists join in, and boom. My teaching assistants will position themselves around the gym should anyone attempt to silence me before I've completed my lesson. Police or anyone else, my associates will fire upon the bleachers. A word to the wise, behave. Behave yourselves. RoboCop 2. Awesome. Okay, so shortly thereafter, the black guy, Lou. By the way, that was just a part of the bit because I could see his name right here. En route to Rock Falls, on assignment, hears a disturbing radio, and he hears about what's going on. So does Jack at the garage, and Lieutenant Flint shows up at the school. And he says, I don't think a ransom demand is what this is about. This is a perverse statement. And the guy says, statement? And he goes, Lieutenant Flint decides to walk into school and straight up ask him. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, it seems like a Cliff Notes. He's walking in, and then he's directly in front of the guy.
Yeah, there could have been at least an extra page to showcase him like going into the school building and the members like of fake Dr. Menzel like apprehending him, taking his guns, and bringing him into him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Geez, I paid you to blow smoke, not smoke it. We're doing a little bit of both. Hey, trust me, I'm having a good time with this. All right, so the guy says, what is this? Who are you to interrupt my lecture? And Lieutenant Flint says, we didn't hear you from you, so I took the liberty of bringing the negotiation to you. He says, you wish to negotiate the release of these children? That is not necessary. Remove them, but don't kill them as yet. And so we see him walking Lieutenant Flint out, and he says to the students that he doesn't mean them any harm, and at the end of the school day, he will die, but they will not. And we have the
How
cops.
exactly does that work?
They're going to let him go. Like, the students will be able to exit the building, and then he's going to blow himself up.
I see. So So I assume that's confirmation that he doesn't actually have regenerative powers.
Exactly. He's going to die. Yeah.
And it proceeds to chant, "Reject the system! Tear down existing institutions!" Which, again, why does that sound familiar?
I know, right? Now he wouldn't even have to put on a bomb. People would invite him into the college to say this shit.
As long as he was a violent anarcho-communist. If you want to dethrone the system as a populist or a right-winger, then you are still the devil. This is how this works.
I mean, with these people, like they'll still like tar and feather you if you're libertarian centered or a real classical liberal.
And again, I will point this out. I was a Bernie bro in both 2016 and 2020, and I still get called the devil and internalized homophobic because I despise social justice and think Antifa are a bunch of crazy anarcho-communists, being as they are a bunch of crazy anarcho-communists.
Well, let's not forget BLM.
Yes. So I would like to point out that once again, we've got the cop and the SWAT leader just sitting out there going, what can we do? And they're talking about Flint saying he's a master negotiator. Of course, he's knocked out in the broom closet. And the guy says he's just going off on, like you said, tear down the existing systems and replace them with what you ask. We do not know. Democrat. This guy votes Democrat straight up. He is a ballot down voter right there.
Well, that sort of makes all this rather superfluous, doesn't it? What are you going to replace this with? Nothing. We'll figure it out later after I've self-immolated, apparently.
Oh, I'm not going to be here to replace it. Yes. This is, BLM, bacon, lettuce, and mayo. Ooh. All right, so the cop's there, and he goes, "I'm getting worried. It's been hours, and we've just been stitched. SWAT is right next to you. It's in danger."
Wild Dog, he's busy like knocking out the guys without killing them, and he's going in to save the kids.
Yeah, he's doing it quietly because, of course, if he makes noise, the kids get shot. But SWAT is sitting on their asses complaining to the cops in the second issue.
Right. Between the like Antifa talking points from just now and the SWAT team being utterly just useless, I'm going with this. This is taking place in 2020 during the defund the police riots.
Yeah. So we see the evil Professor Mensa say, "And now as our school day draws to a close, I'm afraid I have bad news for you. I lied. Only half of you will be allowed to leave because my lesson to the outside world will have more impact if a good share of you accompany me in my martyrdom." And we see Wild Dog cutting the glass off the roof. "My teaching assistants will now lead the selected rows out of the building." And we see Wild Dog shoot his harpoon gun, I guess.
Crossbow.
Well, I don't know. Crossbows are big.
I will remind everyone once again that Dr. Self-Immolation there is literally doing this for reasons that he hasn't figured out yet.
Yeah, because he is that's a cop he's taking out. Oh, in the first the panel? Yeah, that's a cop he's taking out to get up to the roof, where he takes out the evil Dr. Mensa with a crossbow. And as he's sliding down, he shoots another guy in the chest while the other guy's
no, it's the arrow. So he's still alive.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, I remember. Okay, at the end. And we see Wild Dog kick one of the bad guys and jumps in front of the students. They shoot him in the chest. And the kid's like, "They've killed Wild Dog!" But when they reach over, he grabs onto their wrist, electrocuting him. And the daughter of that black guy in the beginning.
Lou.
You keep saying that, but I don't know if you're right. No, he's alive. He's another Superman. Bullets just bounce off of him. And then Wild Dog gets up, boot to the balls. And all the kids are cheering and calling his name as he literally is killing and breaking the backs and balls of all the characters. It's Wild Dog, yay!
Well, he paralyzed that guy.
And then we see him walk out once again with a hostage. Let him pass that explosive cargo he's got, so he gets into his truck and drives into the drives into the corn, and who's behind the rows allows him to pass, and he says, "Got away." He's using the evil Professor Mince's phone, saying, "Got away. I'm in a barn in an abandoned farm off Highway 61, south of Bluegrass." And he's calling all of Mince's people to him. "Thanks for the use of the phone. Your friends will be here soon. Now here's a lesson for you. Bombs don't care who they blow up. And soon," and then as they walk in, "No, get out. Blam. See you next month." Done. Did you see the pattern yet?
You mean the pattern of it being an utter farce? Yes.
Okay. Watch in the 3rd and 4th issue, and even in the special if we do that, if we have time to talk about that one. Did you hear what happened last issue? Well, I think these guys could be Wild Dog. Set up for the terrorists. Wild Dog shows up, kills the bad guy, end. That is both 1 and 2. Now let's see if issue 3 is the same. Let's see, all of the things Wild Dog is using in his comic, you could legally buy out of magazines back in the day. Seriously, all those Soldier of Fortune mags did sell this stuff. Says Frag, do you have a basement filled with guns and bombs? You know what? I don't want to hear, like, if you don't, just tell me you do, because that's how I actually picture you. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Black Sheep, but there was a character played by Gary Busey. He was a military guy, and oh no.
Yeah.
I want to think that you are what her name, Bert, and what's her name from Tremors, where they've got that big basement filled with guns, and the graboid burst in, and they just
Fragminion coming to a city near you, playing the greatest hits of the Unabomber. But
Fragminion is Wild Dog. So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room that sounds exactly like Horseman from Young Ripa. He is an imitation of Wild Dog. I would not know that elephant in the room. I haven't read any. Bert Gurner, yes. Of course you know the name.
It's not as if...
Let's not forget his wife.
Yes.
It's not as if this is a particularly original concept. There's a reason I keep referring to him as store brand Punisher. So I'm not sure it's a ripoff so much as it is a character template that gets used a lot because people like the idea of a gun-toting, violent anti-hero taking organized crime and so forth to task.
I know I do.
Yeah, well, the difference between Wild Dog and Frank, right, is as you see like with how he handled like Dr. Menzel like and his assistants, because he actually incapacitates them before, or like he blew up like all of them like in that farm yard in the cornfield. So while like they were taken out, the other ones are still at the school, in which he left them for the police to like handcuff and take into jail.
Right, but it's not a major difference in character type, is what I mean. So it's probably unwarranted to call whatever Ripperverse character a Wild Dog ripoff when Wild Dog was probably a ripoff of Punisher and to some degree the Shadow and to some degree a whole bunch of other characters who do this violent anti-hero thing.
Both of the action guys are here now. We have Davis Sonowitz as well. Sonowitz. I think you told me once it was Sonowitz, not Witch. But yeah, I actually have never read any of the Ripa comics. Well, that's not true. I read the first 4 or 5 pages of the first one. I forget what it was called.
Isom?
Isom? Yeah, that was it. I didn't care for it. I
just haven't heard of any characters in that universe that I would like, so I haven't bothered.
Of a book pulp character, says Fragminion. All right.
Yeah, with Punisher, he's based off of the character of the Destroyer.
No, the Destroyer knew Sinanju. That's Remo Williams. Or is it?
No. There is a pulp character with a book series called The Destroyer.
Okay. Yeah, I used to read the Destroyer books, the Remo Williams books, like they were the only books ever made.
Oh,
That's
sorry, the Executioner. I meant the
Executioner.
Executioner.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
so fair to say, like Frank, when Jerry Conway made him, he was inspired by the Executioner.
All right.
Anyway, let's get on back to the store brand version.
Yeah, and Dalton's like, let's get this over with. I had fun rereading this, by the way, but I did notice the pattern. You have yeah. Okay, so this is what better way to spend a sunny afternoon than a scenic cruise aboard a riverboat. One friend has invited 3 others to accompany him on this Mississippi River excursion destination, Arsenal Island. I love that. It's just, okay, we're going to Weapon Island, man. Remo Williams' pulp series from before Punny. This is all from era of Death Wish, a.k.a. Charlie Bronson. All righty, so we see the 4 high school friends. The government guy is standing up. He says, been a long time since, Lieutenant Frank Trebin says, been a long time since the 4 of us were together, Graham. And Graham saying, that's certainly true. Here's to the 4 horsemen of the state, you red dogs. Here's to old times, says the black guy from the last issue. And Jack says, and actually, if I keep doing that, I'm going to come off really racist, aren't I? Like, I remember.
Yes, you are. That's why I was face palming just now. Because watch as those segments of this get clipped, and then the shadow banning gets even worse.
Here's to old times. But no, I went with it because every time I said that, Dom went, Lou. So I thought, okay, it's a bit. Let's go with it. All right, so he says, we were a tough combination to beat, says Graham Galt. And individually, we haven't done so badly either. Each of us is in his own way a respected, productive member of the community. Look to our tenacious tackle here, Lieutenant Andy Flint. This is like, I love this scene. I miss this scene in modern comics. It doesn't exist. This is, we know it's issue 3. Let us introduce to you, everybody, and let us get you caught up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Previously on the Wild Dog issues.
It used to be, now it's a page on the cover, the inside cover where you got to read to catch up. I like this better. I know it takes a page of the book, but I like this better to remind us who people are and what their motivations and so forth.
It feels a little bit more organic than the alternative.
Okay, so he says, look to our tenacious tackle here, Lieutenant Andy Flint, just as dogged a detective as he was a lineman. And our good old fullback, Lou Goddard, the journalist who scored a Pulitzer Prize for the Quad Cities. And what does that make me? I'm just a lousy mechanic. But you're a brilliant auto mechanic. From halfback and linebacker, successful small businessman. Why, we're the living embodiment of the American dream, my fellow former Red Dogs.
Okay, don't pat yourselves on the back too hard here, guys. I know we're basically doing the as you know bit, but my God, don't glaze yourselves quite this hard.
And of course, they say, well, then what's that make you? He says, I always wanted to be James Bond. And I grew up and I did it. And he says, why does the ISA give you a license to kill, Graham? He says, not quite. The Eternal Security Agency is merely a liaison group. And we find out that he brought them all together, and he gave each of them a piece of the Wild Dog costume. And we find out the reason he invited them there is that he knows one of them is Wild Dog, and he wants to talk because the government wants to hire him. That's basically what that is. These 2 pages right here. Now they do talk about the technology. He's supposed to have superpowers. Say no, it was a stun glove. But then it goes back over some of the stuff, and that's what we learn from these pages here. I kid you not. That's the only information that is shared that's new in 5 pages. Also, we learned that they have their own motivations to be Wild Dog. Lou, his wife was blown up on a plane by terrorists. And Lieutenant Flint is very much a hard-ass cop. And let's see, I don't remember what Jack's motivation was. You're at Hard Nosed Crime, and Jack, you stood guard in Beirut unarmed as your comrades were blown up. Okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All righty. So they get to Arsenal Island, home of the largest of the nation's 4 arsenals under a comet, and is AMCOM. Last
so
year,
wait, they literally named a stash of weapons Arsenal Island.
Let's hide them over there on our Weapons Island. And Weapons Island is a real place or was, says Fragminion. Remember when comics just took time to explain things? I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Army Armament, Munitions, and Chemical Command. So we get a heads up on what this is. There are 9,000 employees on this island, perhaps half of them involved in procurement, accounting, technical, and clerical work. Most of the rest are essentially factory workers. And yet you're suggesting a faculty the facility this size is vulnerable to terrorist attacks. And he says there are less than 300 military personnel on this island, says Galt. Does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, that's bound to happen when you name your Weapons Island, God damn it!
Weapons Island, come steal it.
You're basically putting on the map. Come and raid here if you are a terrorist in need of some weaponry.
So he gives them the tour, and he tells them, you know, whenever the real Wild Dog wants to talk to him, come on up. And he notices the news reporter. If you look at the panels, the news reporter has been following them around and listening in on the conversation. And he tells her that you're trying to find out who Wild Dog is. That's a bad idea. Follow his antics, and you can milk him for as long as you possibly can. All right, and we get to the island, and we meet Colonel Rawlings. It's kind of you to allow us to attend this demonstration of a new weapon. Let's see. He says, yes. Okay, here we go. It's a rocket-propelled grenade launcher, says Jack. Yes, it is, Mr. Wheeler. What makes this gizmo unusual, however, is that it's a fab. A fuel air bomb. And what does that mean exactly? We see that, imagine, says the Colonel, a house where the gas had been left on until the entire place was filled with fumes, and then you light a match. But what happens if the building isn't filled with gas? It says it's red hot when it lands. The fab first fills the target area with the gas. Oh, okay, so it fills the area with gas, and then it ignites itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So while they're doing that, we see some terrorists get off a boat and immediately shoot down the military because they wouldn't be greeting him with guns or anything. And boom, they go. So once again, just pointing it out. Little recap. Talk to the 4 friends. Terrorists attack whatever building they're going to attack. Alrighty, so they get the...
Only this time it's on the water, so it's totally different.
Well, yes, it's an island, yeah. Like, they wouldn't have seen the boat arrive at all, would they? All right, so as we use the prototype fab launcher to destroy the very manufacturing... Oh, okay, there we go. That's what he's saying. Secure the Dixie Belle. The test site is near, just beyond the ridge, and soon we'll taste a sweet irony as we use the prototype fab launcher to destroy the very manufacturing center that spawned it. And we see the guys talking. I'm telling you, I heard shots. No big deal, maneuvers of some sorts. And the government guys talking about the weapon, saying it's a piece of... Oh, go on ahead.
No, his name is Graham.
Graham. Okay, you remember the names. I do not. So keep talking here. And we see the bad guys fire a mortar into the area, killing a lot of the military and sending everybody running. Woo! I got to take a break. I talked a lot. I read a lot. Sorry, guys. My getting kind of tired there. All right, let's see what we say. Punisher is an example of Death Wish mania we had in the 80s. Did he say rip a boat? I thought I said rip a book, but yeah. Let's see. This whole thing just seems like someone wanted to make it a movie or a TV show, but got downgraded to a comic.
Well, the thing is, like Mike Collins, he did not write this as a movie or TV show. He written it as a comic. which is something that you don't see like back in the day. Unlike today, they're like comic books. They're being written as pitches for a movie or a TV show instead of a
because
comic
the
book
people
or a
who
graphic
write it
novel.
have no. Because the people who write it have absolutely no respect for the medium and don't have any respect for the people who do have any respect for the medium.
Well, yeah, they see the real money is in the movies. But this very much...
And oddly enough, they don't even care that much about that. They're a bunch of communists, usually. So they really only care about the ideology. They don't even necessarily care about their own financial success.
This is very much like an 80s, like I said, it's an 80s kind of mindless action film. American Ninja is one of my favorite, by the way. If you ever watch it, it's there's a scene like this where they're out in broad daylight, and here comes the American Ninja just throwing stars in the chests of bad guys with guns. It's very much like that.
I recently rewatched the American Ninja series. It's still fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Okay, so we see Graham and we see Lieutenant Frank Drebin, and they're hanging out behind what looks like, what is that? The site of Fort Armstrong, a little monument there. And Graham saying, "Wish he had a gun," and the lieutenant says, "Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink." I like that line because they are literally in the middle of a lot of guns, but can't get to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to the Dixie Belle, where we see the Wild Dog outfit still on the table. One of the bad guys killed the captain of the boat, saying the bridge is secure. And then we see that the costume is gone, and the bad guy gets his back broken.
Paralyzed.
Yeah, okay, paralyzed. And we see the terrorists come running. "We have the prototype. Is the Dixie Belle secure?" And the dude saying, "Yes, the entire crew has been liquidated. The ship is ours." And there's Wild Dog, and he starts shooting at the other boats. And I guess he's knocking this guy out.
Yeah, put him in chokehold.
Yep. And the other terrorists, are like, "Hey, it's him. It's Wild Dog. He's shooting up our boats." We figure we might lose the small crafts the craft that comes where the riverboat comes in. Just get him. And his gun is empty, so he runs away into the Rock Island Arsenal Museum. And they're actually saying, "He's cornered himself, the fool." Of course, he's surrounded by guns.
In a room full of weaponry that he is now going to use to BTFO all of you.
Because every museum keeps their guns fully loaded, by the way. I don't know if you know this. But if you were to go to the... Yeah,
I mean, it worked for Simon Phoenix and Demolition Man, so why not?
That's true, yeah. We live in a world... Oh, go ahead.
No. Finish what Fred Minion said.
I said, I was going to say, Fragmania saying we live in a world where it's, "Hey, this comic sucked. Let's make it a multi-million-dollar movie." Or, "Hey, this multi-million-dollar comic was great. Let's make it into a sucky movie."
Or a TV show.
Or a TV show, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, Netflix is going ahead with season 2 and 3 of Sandman because I can't have nice things. Even with Neil Gaiman getting #MeToo, we can't be spared season 2 and 3 of Netflix ruining Sandman for the
Did they
third
do
time.
Game of Thrones? Not Game of Thrones. Game of You in the first season?
Huh?
I know they did the serial killers and all that, but did they do a Game of You?
No, they did Dollhouse.
Dollhouse, okay.
In season 1.
I like Game of You, so
they haven't done Game of You yet, I don't think.
all right.
In the meantime, Wild Dog proceeds to wound the terrorists. Two got shot on the shoulder, and the other one, I'm sure, well, he got shot in the stomach. But if it didn't hit anything vital, he'll survive.
All righty. So he kills all the bad guys, and Sue Storm here, she's like, "Wild Dog, I saw 2 of them taking some awful futuristic-looking weapons that way." And we have one terror. He's about to fire off the big weapon. One terrorist says, "I love the silence before a salvo." "Me too." And then Wild Dog shoots them both. He says, "I love the silence after a salvo."
Wah, 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 wah.
Stick around. Yes. So the one of the terrorists on one of the boats, "I can't raise them. They should have blown that building by now." That's personal. "We best shove off." And so Wild Dog blows up the big ass ferry.
And well, they did in fact shove off. They shoved off their mortal coil. But
and when the smoke clears, the Dixie Belle is gone, and so too is Wild Dog. Next month, I am Wild Dog. Alrighty, so we just got through 3 issues of Wild Dog. At this point, Dalton, this is so far out of your wheelhouse. What are you thinking at this point?
It was stupid fun. Emphasis on stupid. Very, very, very stupid. That being said, it's not malicious like modern day comics are, and its incompetence is not deliberate and exacerbated by trying to be spiteful toward the reader. So it's better than 90% of all comics written today. It's just that 90% of all comics written today are even more egregiously shit than this.
Right. I was wondering if you would think we were malicious to have you read this.
I mean, I can enjoy stupid fun, especially when it is the kind of pulpy B-movie vibe, and this was that. That being said, I still say I think Skeeters is a better attempt to do that than this.
Skeeters is a masterpiece of so bad it's good.
Yeah, how you do the kind of B-movie script in comic form that I think they're trying to go for here.
Yep. Alrighty. How about you, Dom? When you were reading this, what crossed your mind by issue 3 going into the 4th book?
Oh, we're getting close to the end game. Especially as the mystery of Wild Dog's identity is getting close to the climax.
My one thought was, if this was a miniseries on TV, you know, it's missing the characterization, it's missing the motivations, it's missing we're literally shown 3 or 4 panels of characterization before all the stuff happens. So.
Yeah, right. and then stuff just happens, and the character can teleport to wherever he needs to be to make the action scene work.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. That's one of the reasons why I appreciate the animated adaptation of Mark Miller and Lionel Francis use like Super Crooks, which is done by Studio Bones. It was like turned into an anime, and what it did was it actually expanded on the characters of Johnny Lightning and the members of his heist team before they focused on the main story of Super Crooks. You actually learn more like about each of them, as well as their motivations for doing the heist. Because with Johnny, like he wants all of them to make one last heist and decide to renounce the thievery ways and just live life.
Let's see. Fragment, you said I didn't pay him to make you do it, D, so don't blame me. Or did I? No, he didn't. This was just my suggestion. I knew I owed Frag this, and I said, you know what? Let's do Wild Dog. It will kill 2 birds. We'll have content,
and possibly what remains of my sanity. But
that's really what I wanted to find out. Look, I knew what I thought about it, and I knew what Dom would think. Yeah, I had an idea, but I wanted to see. This is so far out of your wheelhouse. I wanted to see what you would think of a book like this. You know,
it's like I say, it's dumb fun. Emphasis on the dumb, and it's not malicious, which puts it head and shoulders above most comics written today. That being said, the enjoyment that I got out of it was definitely riffing it, because those moments where like the character can teleport to wherever he needs to be to make the action scene work and stuff like that, I'm just like, okay, I guess nobody particularly cared about making the setup plausible, so we shouldn't either? ?
Alrighty, so I am Wild Dog. Although hundreds of soldiers are the official guardians of the installation, the terrorist assault on Arsenal Island was repelled by a one-man army. Once again, same writers and artists: Max Allan Collins, Terry Beattie, Dick Giordano, Johnny Workman, Michelle Wolfman, and Mike Gold. And we see Sue Storm, and she's talking about this. By the way, it's not
Susan
actually
King?
Sue Storm. Yeah, Susan King. I know. So she's basically like in the last three. We get the recap. All right, and then we get the revisiting of all the characters. Hey, you could be Wild Dog. No, you could be Wild Dog. I think he's Wild Dog. Who's Wild Dog? And they're talking about how, oh, we talked to everybody. We have our suspects. And even this time around, it's Lieutenant Frank Drebin here. I'm actually trying to find his real name because I called him that so many times.
Flint. Lieutenant Andy Flint.
Yeah, I called him Drebin so many times I actually forgot. So he says he's going around talking. Okay, who is it? Who is it? What's your attitude toward Wild Dog? Are you interested in working with him? He says, no, I'm interested in busting him. In times as trouble as these, one mustn't stand on ceremony. That's the trouble with you company guys. To you, the law is ceremony. And we see that they're actually both excellent shots. And Lieutenant Flint is going around making the accusations. Well, you could be, he could be, you've got your motivation. Bless you, bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
And Lou says, I have my own pick for the horseman turned Wild Dog. You tell me yours and I'll tell me mine. Only real possibility is Jack Wheeler. What makes Jack the likeliest Wild Dog? Well, a lot of things. You know, like many people, Jack peaked in high school. He was a terrific young athlete, all-state, top college draft pick. No one else his age in the U.S. could top that reckless hot dogging of his. Went to the same high school as Jack, Flint says, but you know, for all his gridiron glory, he didn't. He seemed shy, even insecure. It didn't stop him from being the most popular guy in school. And he went to the Army. Of course, we find out
after he had a knee injury.
Yeah, that's true. It does mention that the knee injury is sophomore year, ended his linebacking forever. So he joined the Army, and that is when. Unless you're stationed in Beirut, standing guard, unarmed, unable to do anything while terrorists blow up your buddies. And that's his motivation. And, well, at least he got him home, wounded but not crippled, thank God. Are you sure? There's such thing as emotional cripple, and they talk a little bit more about it. And he even shows a picture.
Wife.
Yes. That's where he met her, Claire. It should have been the best thing that ever happened to him, but it wasn't.
Isn't this the same origin story as David Dunn from the Unbreakable trilogy?
Not really, because with David, he was able to save his future wife's life, before she could die.
No, not the fiance dying bit. The washed up athlete with the injury.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wait, however, he thinks like the injury cost him his career as a football player, but it turns out his powers were activated years ago.
Because they lay dormant until trauma, because that's how the broken are the more evolved, as the Beast would say. In any case, I just noticed that this is very similar to David Dunn's backstory. Moving on. Sorry.
Alrighty, sorry, the wife is right here. And I was looking at her boobs. She's like, no. Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd love to see the nieces again. Hi, guys. I'm back. All right, so they talk about Jack being Wild Dog. Have you seen the Wild Dog and pictures of Wild Dog in action? Yes, a tourist came in with them today. We paid big bucks for him, and they show him running, and he's got the same gait as Jack from his football days. So he goes to talk to him, and we get his backstory about how he met his wife, and they fell in love, and it seemed like bad luck rubbed off on her. And accidents began to happen, or near accidents, as she's almost run down by a car. And then again, she gets into a car accident. And then as they're walking home, a safe. And how often does a safe really fall from a window to pavement below? like she's actually being, and it turns out that, wait a second, maybe she's not getting into accidents. Maybe she's being targeted. And then on a quiet summer's night, however, such incidents can fade away in a haze of cotton candy and neon. And they're sitting there talking when this guy comes up in a drive-by and kills her. And as good a cop as Bulldog Flynn is, no progress made as days turns into weeks. He's saying, sorry, nothing. And he finds out he has a meeting with Jack where he says, Claire's real last name is not Smith, it's Carmonti. He says, the mob guy? Yeah, the Chicago Godfather himself. Carmonti was killed in a bloody mob purge last year. Claire must have come here to try to begin a new life, and the Vespucci family, Claire Carmonti's business rivals, couldn't allow it. Whether Claire knew anything about family business or not, the Vespuccis took no chance, and she was on the hit list. Claire Carmonti was the Godfather's only daughter and his only heir, and her only heir, as it turned out, was you, Mr. Wheeler. And he says, you're the sole beneficiary, Mr. Wheeler. You're a millionaire. Aren't you pleased? And, of course, he's complaining because, you know, hey, don't smile because it came at the death of my girl. And we learned Lou says, well,
which I mean, good for him for having some principles there. That's certainly some character development type thing there.
And
well, that's more character establishment because him not refusing to take all the inheritance because, well, it is blood money. Well, it does showcase his character as well as his ethics.
But then Lou says, well, why not use the money to fight the mob? And Jack says, why not indeed? And Jack's friends are relieved and pleased to see him putting his life back together, saying he looks peaceful as he buys a auto repair shop. But that very evening at the Chalet Inn, an elaborate resort on the edge of the cities, a convention of executives in the coin-operated entertainment business is underway. It is late now. Business conference is over, and the Vespucci brothers, Carmine and Carlo, are relaxing in a private wing of the hotel. When all of a sudden, Wild Dog. Dalton?
Yes.
You're not going to say your line?
You're not going to say the thing?
Which thing? The store brand Punisher thing.
No. Boot to the head. All right, there you go. You're going to have to keep an eye out on these boot to the heads. All righty, so Wild Dog's taking out
I'm too bored to meme at the moment.
Wild Dog's taking out all the bad guys.
The bodyguards.
Yep, the bodyguards, thank you. And then he bursts in. Goodbye, girls. They run out, and he just starts shooting. Oh, as I said before, good old Republican justice. All righty, so
justice.
yeah. So we hear, boss, what? And Wild Dog sees the guy who killed his wife, and he starts shooting. He was not named that night, but he was born in the deaths of others. Wild Dog was born. And we see Lieutenant Frank come in and accuse him of being Wild Dog. And he says, let's see, you're Wild Dog, Jack. I know you mean well, but you're wanted and needed. Sure, it's your unholy war, isn't it? Against mobsters who killed your love, against terrorists who blew up your pals. I'm against anybody who uses violence to force their beliefs, their wills on the rest of us. I can use a police contact, Andy. Are you going to help me or not? Help you? And as the police radio speaks, terrorist action at City Hall, council seized. One friend awaits the decision of the other. The end. Like, literally, that's how they end the book.
Yeah.
Moving on to special number 1, which actually continues where the first miniseries left off.
I'm thinking we're an hour and a half in almost.
Yeah, I'm about ready to tap out, and I didn't get a chance to read the special anyway.
I'll put the Wild Dog special in rotation, if you don't
mind. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Book over. It ends on a question, which I think this is my tinfoil hat because I have no evidence of this. They were hoping to get a series.
Mm-hmm.
An ongoing.
Yeah, they were hoping to get it's a mini series. he asked the question that's going to be answered in the ongoing series, which probably was the stories written for the special and the whole 9 yards. I think that's it. It was, yeah. And I guess it just didn't do well. It must have only sold 80,000 copies. By the way, for those of you who don't know the joke, because jokes are always funnier when you explain them, back in the day, a book selling what a popular book sells today would have been canceled.
It's almost like they've completely ruined and rotted the industry from the inside out or something.
Yeah. Like a book that made 30,000 copies now, it's like, woo, that's a good seller. But
back then, no, you were the chopping block.
So it could have. All righty. Overall, Dom, be honest, be brutal. I'm the only one that has to lie here because I was paid to. Go on ahead. Let us in on it.
Well, in spite of the few issues the Wild Dog miniseries had, well, like some places where like this like characterization or sequence of events or even a moment like could have been placed like over here rather than this, or even like give like Collins and the team like extra pages to really flesh out the characters.
Excuse me just a moment. Holy shiitake mushrooms, Frag. Thank you, by the way. I mean, this guarantees I actually get a paycheck next month. I do.
Did you mean to send quite that much money, Frag? I just don't want him accidentally missing out on $100 when he meant to send like $5 or $10 or something.
I don't want to miss out on $100. What are you talking about? No, seriously, I hope you did enjoy this part. Because, and also, we will do Wild Dog Special 1 later. I will put that in our rotation. But seriously, thank you very much for the super chat. I hope you did it. You were entertained and you had a good time listening to us praise and rail on it. But you got to admit, this book is exactly that. It is what I've been saying. It's a 1980s action film put in comic book form. As a matter of fact, if they wanted to screw with people like, did you see Fargo? Did y'all watch the movie Fargo?
Yes.
Brothers?
Yes.
At the beginning, it says this movie is based on a true story. No, it ain't. It's not. Which, by the way, led to a woman's death, by the way. Not really, but anyway. If they had put this on this comic based on a true story or based on the movie, now a major motion picture or something like that, or watch for it on VHS, I think people would have fallen for it, because this reads like I said, like a Cliff's Notes, like the threads from one part to another.
It could easily have been like a Full Moon movie.
Yes.
Is it Full Moon or Blue Moon that I'm thinking of?
No, Full Moon.
Full Moon, the one
Full
with
Moon.
like the tracers and the puppet master and all that kind
Doll
of stuff.
Man.
Yeah, Doll Man. I could see this.
This would fit very well in their catalog, especially in a post Death Wish world.
Or Kuroko, because they were the ones that did movies like the American Ninja and quite a bit. Actually, I think Terminator 2 was a Kuroko movie as well.
Yes, it is.
Slight Bite in the Bullet Fund. Bacon and Bologna Fund. Well, I certainly appreciate it.
Well, as I was saying earlier, that's what I mentioned earlier, and this is nonetheless a fun read, and I would rather take that as well as any other works from the past over a majority of today's works of fiction. However, I will say, as a silver lining, things are getting better and objectively good material is being released, but it's done mostly through the independent alternative scene.
Yeah, this to me is the takeaway here.
There are like quality titles from DC, like Green Lantern.
Yeah, this to me is the really sad part of the takeaway here. This book, back in the day, would have been an average to bad book.
Yes, it was.
Like
it was not a popular book back in the day. Wild Dog gained a following as time went by.
Yeah. This was basically the worst that the 80s and early 90s had to offer, and it still is better than 90% of what the current day age of comics has to offer.
It's entertaining, and that's
yeah,
what
and it doesn't hate its audience, and it in fact manages to successfully pander to its audience, which not for nothing. There's a reason why books like this got made, and that's because of the popularity of things like Chuck Norris and Death Wish and Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and so on. So like this book is a bad book, but it has a few things that modern day comics don't have. It doesn't hate its audience, it doesn't hate its premise, it doesn't hate the medium that it's in, and it doesn't mind pandering to all of the above.
By the way, Fragminion, look, you really did touch me with such a generous, not in a physical way. That actually would cost more than 100. But you did hit the feels. But what happened was my eye itched and I rubbed it, forgetting that before we started I had potato chips and hot sauce. So I just rubbed hot sauce in my eye.
Oh dear God!
So that's why I've been doing this, because literally I was like, that was a bad idea, and that's why I have a hard time opening it right now.
And this is why we wash our hands after eating spicy foods, ladies and gentlemen.
I did.
Not well enough, apparently.
Yeah, apparently some was left, but yes, I mean, do you actually wash your hands after a bag of Cheetos? No.
Not Cheetos, unless they're like flaming hot Cheetos, in which case I would probably wash them.
You wash your hands after you lick all the dust off, then you go to the sink. That's what happened.
Right, but you were dipping your chips in hot sauce, which
Wait, do you mean? Are you talking chips literally, or are you talking about like, chips being like balls? Because I learned not to do that.
Wah, 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 wah. Do you see the shit that we put up with around here from
Are
this
you kidding me?
Here, ladies and gentlemen?
Thursday is my anniversary. Gail's been putting up with this shit for 31 years. So yeah, God bless her, because she comes up. Said my wife's up here. I'm looking at her boobs, and she's like, "Why are you saying that on air?" Yeah. When she comes in, I like to talk. I love the way she looks at me sometimes when I say something stupid. One time she came in, it was on another live stream. She comes in to get a snack or something, and I said, "Hi, Gail," and I said, "Look, guys, one thing, Gail's here, and I want to let you know I had a conversation with her, and we were talking and I got to tell you something. Make sure if you get into a relationship, make sure 100% if your woman gets mad, never tell her to calm down. Because never tell her to calm down. All you got to do is look at her and go, you are so acting like your mother right now." Gail. By the way, do not do that. Do not do that. Is bad advice. Don't do that. Yeah, that is a minefield.
That is the kind of motivation that's going to get the charges dropped from murder to manslaughter. Is what that's going to be.
I videotaped what he said, Your Honor. It's like, okay, go home. Yeah. Let's see. Hang the team. My 8 other selections are. Oh yeah, I got that. I'm actually I've got it on another page here, so I can go through and make sure that I pick up the right one. So not to worry, dude. And that will be on part of Henry Month on our cover rankings. Henry bought a month. There you go. So we're gonna do
Well, what's up next for Tales from the Longbox?
What is up? I wish I had a visual something for it, because I forgot to do that. But for next week, we are going to be talking about a book called Triumph and Torments, not Torrents, as I said earlier. We're not going to Pirate Bay here today, ladies and gentlemen, or next week. It's Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom. It was a graphic novel. By the way, the difference between graphic novel and trade paperback used to be a floppy issue series.
Yes.
Graphic novels are originals. So
yes,
Watchmen,
they tell a complete story.
I've heard people refer to Watchmen as a graphic novel. Sorry, it's trade paperback.
It's a maxi series.
Yeah, but it's a trade paperback of that.
Yeah.
Graphic novel is always an original story. So, like the Arkham Asylum. Yeah. Let's
and
see.
also, of course, like X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills, or Frank Miller's Elektra Assassin. Those are examples of real graphic novels.
Actually, Elektra Assassin is an 8-issue miniseries, but the one that came after that.
Sorry. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. After Assassin.
Let's see. England team shares marital advice, and then it's followed by, and I hide out in the Far East for a decade or so. Gail and I, we went through.
Now you know the secret origins of why he was in Thailand for all that time, folks.
Actually, that's very accurate there, Dalton. We were not doing well when I did that. So yeah, I actually thought I was divorced, by the way. But thankfully, no. All righty. So anyway, guys, there you go. That is that. I hope you enjoyed another episode. Hopefully, this show will grow. We had I think at most 8 viewers. So I'm hoping that we do grow an audience for this.
Next, spread it around through social media.
Say again.
As well as spread this episode of the beat title Tales from the Longbox, originally Throwback Thursday, through social media, so people can know more about it.
Yeah. Hopefully. All righty. Tomorrow is Ra's al Ghul on the cover rankings, and let's see. Wednesday is the bracket fights. Friday is the start of Henry month, and what else? Either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to come back here and do a comic book haul. So, because I got the books for this coming auction already. That being said, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to Dom and Dalton for their colorful commentary and everybody in the chat. And once again, Frag Minion, thank you very much for the super chat. That's very much appreciated. If you want to help out the channel, go on over to Ko-Fi, drop $1 in the tip jar. Thank you to everybody who's already done that. To everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.
Have a good night.